What's up guys, we're back with another requested video. Today we got the Note 20 Ultra versus the S21 Ultra in 2022. So this comparison is kind of confusing for people. So if you don't have either of these devices, I can see why it could be a little bit confusing because they're actually the same price even though this is a newer phone. Used refurbished, you can pick this up for $800. Used refurbished, this is still actually going for $800, believe it or not. So there are some minor differences with these two phones. I think they're great phones, and we're going to be coming from the perspective of you don't have either one, or you have a Note 20 Ultra and you're looking to upgrade. What are the benefits? So we're just going to go over the pros and cons of both of these devices here. So the design on these two phones is kind of a big deal depending on what you like, and once you get into like this upper almost $1,000 price point, the little stuff does matter here. So you do have a full glass and metal design on both of these phones. They're IP68 dust and water resistant as well. As far as design, it really comes down to the style that you like. As you can see, I think the S21 Ultra just looks super clean. I prefer the matte finish, but the thing about these glossy phones is that they just look so classy, really clean looking. So that's why I said it really depends. Now also, when you're holding these phones, the S21 Ultra has a more of a curved shape, and the curves just feel better to me. But the thing is that with this big camera bump, the weight is kind of just feels strange. There's more weight up top. As with the Note 20 Ultra, it's a bit more boxy, doesn't feel as good as a curved phone would. But I do like the front of the phone, so we're gonna get into that in a little bit. But as far as the height, the Note 20 Ultra is definitely a little bit taller, and I think the S21 Ultra is definitely a little bit thicker, especially up top. Now the big difference is why they can charge the Note 20 Ultra is because it's the last Note with actually a SD card support. So if you're wondering why is it still so expensive, so you can see you have your built-in stylus. The S21 Ultra does have stylus support, but it's not built in. But you can use the full stylus software as well. Both phones have stereo speakers, which we will jump into as well. The displays are a pretty big deal on this phone, and again, I'm being a little bit dramatic, but like I said, when it comes to the price, the little stuff matters. So there is kind of a big difference here. So the Note 20 Ultra has a 6.9-inch dynamic AMOLED display. It's 120 Hz HDR10 plus. It is 1440p 496 for the PPI. The S21 Ultra has the same display, 120 Hz HDR10 plus, slightly brighter at 1500 nits. It's a 6.8-inch display, so it's a little bit smaller. You probably can't really tell. It's 1440p 515 for the PPI. So both displays look identical at 1440p. As you can see, two different display designs. On the S21 Ultra, it's more of a circular kind of shape, and it has a less dramatic curve to it. The Note 20 Ultra just goes all out. It has a more dramatic curve and a more boxier design. Like I said, that really comes down to your personal preference, which one you like. Now, here's the big difference that I'm talking about. So I said screen quality basically the same besides minor design. Here's the thing. When you go into settings on 1440p on the S21 Ultra, motion smoothness, you can see that I can put this at 120 Hertz, right? And we can go to 1440p. Now, if you want to save battery life, you can obviously, turn it down to 60, just a tip there. But you can see we're still at 120 Hertz, so it's still running at 120 Hertz. The thing about the Note 20 Ultra is that it actually cannot run 1440p at 120 Hertz. You can see we're on 1440p, but the 120 Hertz is off. Now I can do that on full HD, right? Now this is where the debate comes in. As you can see, I can go ahead and apply my 120 Hertz. Here's where the debate comes in. Can you tell the difference between 120 Hertz, I mean not 120 Hertz, but 1080p versus the 1440p? So I can tell the difference. When I look at the icons, I think that's the most noticeable thing. The icons look sharper on a 1440p display as opposed to the 1080p resolution. It just looks a little bit more sharper, a little bit more crisp. I've heard, some of my subscribers say the 1080p, if you put 1080p on the Note 20 Ultra, it kind of looks blurry to them if you go from, 1440p. It just depends, guys. Like I said, so technically the S21 Ultra does have the better display because it can do 120 hertz at 1440p. But other than that, they're both pretty much, you know, identical displays here. As far as software, this is also very important, guys. So the Note 20 Ultra, it's on Android 12. It's on the One UI 4.1. And then the S21 Ultra is also on Android 12 One UI 4.1. Here's the thing, the S21 Ultra will get more updates than the Note 20 Ultra. Android 13 will be the last major OS update, and then this phone will go into its security patch stages. I believe the S21 Ultra actually got the same treatment as the S22 Ultra, so it'll get 4 years of major OS updates. So you actually got an extra year with this phone instead of 3. You actually got 4 now. So that is also something to take into consideration for your die-hard One UI users, that you get really excited about the next version of One UI and stuff like that. If you're somebody that does not care, then it's not a big deal, right? Now, as far as the software right now, it's essentially the same thing. You have your Samsung desktop support on here, secure folders, dark mode, your wireless power sharing on here, Dolby Atmos. This phone has NFC as well. So basically, feature-wise, it's the same except for your built-in stylus. And it really comes down to, are you going to use the stylus or not? So it really depends. If you're somebody that does digital artwork, these are some of the best phones for that. If you want to draw on your phone and stuff like that. I like to use this stuff just to take notes to grocery stores, just really quick to just take it out and just start writing down a little list and stuff like that. You can also use it to navigate. So it really depends. Now, if you have that same support on the S21 Ultra, but you're gonna have to buy like a third-party stylus, I believe, from Samsung. Or I don't know if anybody else makes them, but yeah, it's gonna have to come with a case if you want it like that. So yeah, so just take that into consideration. Now, as far as the specs, it's a Snapdragon 865 chip on here. You also have the Adreno 650 micro SD card support on the Note 20 Ultra, 128 gigs of internal storage and 12 gigs of RAM. This one is 256 and 12 gigs. And then the S21 Ultra does have the newer Snapdragon 888 processor with the Adreno 660, but this does not have SD card support, so no expandable storage on here. 128 gigs of internal storage, I think, on this one, and 12 gigs of RAM as well. As far as speed, you really won't notice too much of a difference with the speed on these phones. They both feel pretty similar to me, honestly. I can't really tell the difference in terms of just opening your daily applications. As far as the benchmarks, yeah, you're gonna get higher scores, obviously, but as far as your gaming performance, PUBG, Call of Duty Mobile, they play about the same. So as far as the upgrading for speed, you're not gonna get that big of an upgrade. And I would say the S21 Ultra gets hotter when gaming for long periods of time than this 865 chip as well too. So just to show you guys the Geekbench scores, and I'm not really sure about, somebody was asking me about the Geekbench scores. Samsung got caught up with like doing something, and my scores are always really off on these phones. So you can see these are really low scores. They're not supposed to be this low, and I think Samsung, they got caught like doing something with the Geekbench scores where they toggle the phone down or something like that. I don't know, but yeah, they got caught with that, so we'll probably just switch over to Antutu, honestly, because I don't think they do it for Antutu. So I think Antutu, this will give you more realistic sort of view. You can see they're just slightly different. I don't know, why does this have a higher score? So I don't know. Samsung Geekbench and the Antutu is always off for me. These stereo speakers on both of these phones. Let's go ahead and max it out. I think the Note 20 Ultra is slightly louder. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a little bit louder. Yes, the top speaker is louder than this top speaker. Yeah, so the Note 20 Ultra is a little bit louder, but they honestly sound identical. As far as the fingerprint scanner goes, they both work extremely fast. You also have the option to do face unlock on both of these phones as well too. Alright, so there is a slight difference with the cameras. So you have a 108 megapixel lens on the S21 Ultra, 10 megapixel periscope telephoto that does 10x, another 10 megapixel periscope, not periscope, but a telephoto lens that does 3x, and then a 12 megapixel ultra wide. You also have 8K video at 24 frames, and then a 40 megapixel selfie cam that does 4K 60 on here. This has a macro mode, and also it can do up to 100 times zoom. The Note 20 Ultra is really not that far off. It has also a 108 megapixel lens on here. You also do have the 12 megapixel periscope telephoto, 5x optical zoom, 50 times hybrid zoom, 12 megapixel ultra wide, 8K 24, and then a 10 megapixel selfie cam that does 4K 60. So basically, the S21 Ultra, one thing I noticed with these shots, I'll let you guys see the side by side, but one thing I noticed is zoom shots I think were a little bit better, but it wasn't dramatically better. I don't know if you're going to use the 100 times zoom. That's something you have to ask yourself. It really just comes down. I just didn't see a massive image quality jump between these two phones. Besides, I thought the zoom shots were better on the S21 Ultra. I'll go ahead and let you guys see the side by side stills in the video. So the last question, is the battery life better on the S21 Ultra, or which one has the best battery life? They actually are kind of tied. They actually perform about the same, surprisingly. So you actually have a 4,500 milliamp battery on the Note 20 Ultra, 25 watt charging, and then you have the wireless charging at 15 watts with your reverse wireless charging. The S21 Ultra has a bigger 5,000 milliamp battery and 25 watt charging with also the same wireless charging and reverse wireless charging. I just don't see the difference. I think it's maybe because this is running at 120 hertz all the time, right? Because most people are running at 120 hertz. So, you know, it just feels the same. Either way, even when I turn 120 hertz off on here, they still drain the same to me. So unless your battery life is like your battery percentage is depleted on the Note 20 Ultra, you shouldn't see that big of an upgrade there, because they both feel about the same. They actually both will get you full days use, no problem. So as far as upgrading, it's very, very like nitpicky stuff. Are you going to use 100 times zoom? Which design do you like more? And also, I think the updates might be a big deal. You get way more updates with the newer phone, of course. And yeah, so it just comes down to that little nitpicky stuff. So what do you guys think? Be sure and let me know, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.